Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho. Would Chelsea be... Not stupid enough, actually. That's probably a bit strong. Could Chelsea come in for him? Could he go onto continent in Europe? Is it really difficult for Sancho to find a move because of his wages and the package?
Yeah.
What does it look like him staying at Man United? How do you see the situation?
Yeah, I think he's more likely to stay than go. There were some loose conversations, from what I'm told, with PSG when they first started discussing Ugarte, but it doesn't really seem to have kicked on. The Chelsea link was immediately dismissed by its sources at Stamford Bridge. Listen, never say never with Chelsea, because they're crazy enough to do some mad business between now and next Friday. But I think at the moment, Sancho should focus on knuckling down, trying to force his way into United's first team plans. Because it's difficult for him, because you look at the competition in the wide areas. We're going to debate later whether Garnacho should come back in. Does that mean Ahmed goes to the bench? What about Marcus Rashford? So you've got Anthony, who's promising us that he's going to have a better season. Maybe Sancho's fifth in line for one of those wing places at this moment in time.
I mean, that's insane. It does feel like he's just not part of what Erik ten Hag's trying to do. Is there any way? Can he have a future, Sancho?
Jadon Sancho have a future at Man United? No, and it's one of those things. I have hated watching this. I have found it really, really difficult, because when we signed Jadon Sancho, I was so excited for us to have someone like him, and someone who was so in demand as well. The fact that we got that deal, spent a lot of money on it, but we got that deal. We got Jadon Sancho at United. I thought it was going to be an absolute fairy tale, and I have to say, I do not like the way that he's gone about things. It really, really irritates me. I find it really, really disappointing. I think the whole social media stuff, listen, I understand people say, footballers are human beings, they have emotions, blah, blah, blah. You're paid to do a job. You have to be professional. You cannot just go on social media and start slagging your manager off and think that it's going to be okay. I actually rate the way that Ten Hag has dealt with it.
And he took a lot of criticism for that as well.
Yeah, and it seemed, we don't know what went on, but there was the thing of Sancho being sent over, it's mainland Europe to kind of have a bit of...
Yeah, that was the first thing. That was the
having that training and stuff. That to me seems like a manager who's trying to empathise with their player and get the best out of them. I think, not that you are indebted to somebody, but I think to pay your manager back by then going on social media and doing all this stuff, I just think it's a really bad look for him. I don't think it's helped him in any way, shape or form. He already had this track record of rumours of him not being the most professional or being late or things like that, and he's just made himself look even worse. And on top of that, the times that he is playing, it doesn't seem to be slotting in. In my personal opinion, I feel like the powers that be have said to Ten Hag, let's just smooth this over. It's really, really sad to see, but I don't think he can walk away from it this wasn't my fault. He played a massive, massive role in his own downfall, and it's just, the whole thing is just sad and disappointing.
You're obviously a numbers man, and you look at the number of games that Sancho has played for Manchester United. It's not a handful. He's played a lot of games now in the first team, but it is a handful where you can actually say, well, do you know what, he played well today. I think he's been massively underwhelming, and in the last decade, United have made some dreadful signings, but I think he's right up there. It doesn't look to me like he's cut out for the Premier League. It doesn't look to me like he's got the attitude to play for a club of the stature of Manchester United. And I think the people who use the incident when he went on social media as a stick to beat Ten Hag with, I agree with Angelina. I think Erik ten Hag handled that absolutely perfectly.
So you don't think it's a managerial thing, like Sancho needs an arm around his shoulder?
I think he tried that.
He had an arm round him.
He tried that, and that's why Ten Hag was so affronted by the social media post, because he felt betrayed. He tried to coax the best out of Jadon Sancho. It simply isn't going to happen. But the trouble they've got is he's on massive wages. They want a big transfer fee, so he's difficult to shift, and he can become quite a negative influence in the dressing room.
PSG, Chelsea, Barcelona, some of the names that have been tips, Juventus.
Well, they're big clubs.
Big clubs.
I'm sure he warrants it.
Do you just from an ability and an attitude standpoint, as well as the financial? So does that just leave Jadon Sancho having to stay at Man United and just being a bit part player as that contract just sort of dwindles down? They can look for something next season then.
I think that's probably the way it's heading. But again, it's up to the player. You're back there. There's competition for places. Prove to us. Prove why Angelina was so excited when he first signed. Prove why United spent numerous transfer windows trying to bring him to the football club. Show your worth.
There's been another confirmed departure in Facundo Pellistri, who believed the fee to be around £5.1 million to Panathinaikos. Angelina, sum up his time at Old Trafford.
Did he have any time? I'm trying to think of a game.
Yeah.
No, I think, in my personal opinion, this is just good business. I think we bought him, was it about £9 million or something? I think was roughly how much we paid for him. I think to sell him on for $5 million.
So you think it's good business? Don't you think we could have got a bit more?
I think two loans where he really didn't do much.
They were bad loans for him, though, I think.
Yeah.
Relegation.
Bad
battles,
choices.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit harsh, but I just feel like this is a really good example of Man United not lulling into this space of let's just give people more time. I said it last week, we need to get smarter with cutting the cord when it's the right time to end something. I think you'll know better than me that there's a potential buyback or
They've
got a big sell-on clause, which is the norm now. You know, when a player leaves a big club.
I think all of that stuff makes sense to me.
In case he's really good.
But I don't. There was nothing I ever saw, and maybe I am being a little bit harsh, but there was nothing I ever saw that I thought, no, we need to give this kid more time. It's just not happened. Maybe the loans weren't the best loan moves, but 2 loans where nothing really happened. I think for me, this is a smart situation of, you know what, how much more time are we going to give this? It's not worked out. We can still get a little bit of money for him. Let's just cut this cord. If by some magical chance that he sets the world alight, then we could potentially revisit it. But for me, I think it was the right decision.
Crookie, less so on Facundo Pellistri and more so on our sales. Do we need to improve in that? Because I do think a lot of Man United fans feel as if we're not very good at selling players. We find it difficult to command big fees like other teams do for players who haven't done much or got loads of experience and they're going for decent fees. Do you think we need to get better at selling fringe players or players who are surplus and get more off? Or is it just the nature of the beast because they're not performing?
I think it's easiest to do that if you're a football club who's upwardly mobile. You look at Liverpool, for example. I think they've done some brilliant business with the likes of Fabio Carvalho and now Sepp Vandenberg, who's going to Brentford for big money. But Liverpool have been challenging for honours over the past few seasons. United haven't. So therefore the reputation of the club and the fringe players isn't as high. And I think everybody knows United, from a financial point of view, need to cut the wage bill, need to trim the squad. So therefore people are going to seize an opportunity. So I think it all goes hand in hand, really. Once United are a successful football club on the pitch again, they're going to be a lot more astute in the boardroom as well.
Yeah, I think it's the same sort of, like, and also some of the loans, like you said, like Hannibal went out to...
he'll go as well, I think they'll sell him. He's another one who's he's not good enough, is he?
He's not good enough, but when he went on loan, just the manager's moaning over there, saying he can't get in the squad. We tried to loan out Donny, gets injured, then at Eintracht Frankfurt couldn't even get in the Europa League squad. You know, Zidane Iqbal gets sold for like 900k, something like that. So yeah, I think it is that they're coming from a club that's not doing a lot. So we need to turn that around. This is an interesting one, Crookie and Angelina. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We've heard today that Lenny Yoro has an agreement that he can go to Real Madrid. A bit of a rumour that he could go to Real Madrid within 2 years if the offer comes in.
Not entirely convinced.
I'm not either.
It would be.
I think that's Arsenal fans putting that on there.
It would be not very streetwise to pay that type of money for a talented teenager on the proviso you might only have him for a couple of years. You know, and there's no guarantee that Real Madrid come back to the table either. So yeah. Also, what's a gentleman's agreement worth? We've had a couple of big sagas in previous transfer windows. We had it with Harry Kane. When he wasn't allowed to leave, he claimed he had a gentleman's agreement, if you remember, that summer, and refused to come back to training for a time. So unless it's written in the contract, which I don't believe it is, I think it's all paper talk.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that.
Yeah, it would be a bit of a strange one for me, and I'm going to go with someone who's way more of an expert on stuff like this than me. I think that, yeah, it would be a very, very strange thing. Like, can you imagine signing a player and be like, yeah, let's sign him, but yeah, you want to go to Madrid in 2 years? Yeah, that's great, fine, don't worry about it, no problem. Nah.
And all the noise coming out of Old Trafford is very much, he was a unique opportunity in the market who they see as a very, very talented player for 10 plus years. You know, they really see this as a big investment, not to have that big outlay and just let Real Madrid come in. And
again, like you say with Ineos, like the whole, when we was like having that chiller discussion, you're like, I don't think that they would be that foolish. I don't think that these people that are in charge, maybe a few years ago, this could have been potential. But you would like to think again, the people that are in charge now would not be sitting and shaking hands on something like that. As, yeah, that's absolutely fine, no problem. So yeah, I agree. Paper talk, maybe.